We have a broken LED and we're going to replace it. This is a Acer Aspire laptop, the model number and some other information on the video. We got some basic tools. We got a small little knife that we'll be taking advantage of. And we have a small screwdriver set, nothing too fancy. And right here is from laptopscreen.com, it is a replacement. And then the battery pops out. Remove the bezel. And on this particular model, there's only 2 screws that hold it on. And they're behind these, there's a little piece of padding that's just on there through adhesive. But you can see there's a little circle disc here. And there's going to be one on the other side as well, but there are none anywhere else. This is, of course, I'm just going to get this off without scratching. I'm going to lift that up. And there you go. Now these were just covers for screws. They're fit for this. Yep. Alright, so there's one screw. And we'll get the other one out. And they're both identical, so don't have to worry about right and left. Okay, so at this point we've got our 2 little adhesive markers and our 2 screws out, and now it's time to remove the bezel. Now the bezel is kind of snapped into place, and so what we have to do, just using our fingers and being gentle but firm, we're going to get up underneath here and separate this. And what you're going to listen for, I'm going to lean that back a little bit, so you're going to listen for a lot of little click click clicks, which is pulling the little snaps away. Alright, it's got to happen. We're going to work our way around the whole bezel, okay? So as I slide my fingers, you can hear the snaps. Alright, and like I say, your best bet is you just kind of use your thumb or finger, whatever works for you. But you want to pry it away, and when you're done, you'll be able to lift this up and the bezel comes right off. I'm going to set that down. Okay, now in this particular model, the screws that we're going to need to take off are going to be along this edge. And in this case, there's 3 on each side. There's one in the bottom corner, there's one in the top corner, and even though there are 2 places for screws, you'll see that there's only one, and on both sides it's going to be on this lower one. I don't know if it matters or not, but that's where they were. All right. So I'm going to, and these are very, very small screws, or less than half the size of these guys, and they're black. So when you go to take them off, make sure that you don't lose them and drop them into something that's going to be very difficult to find. I guess the good news is, with 6 of them, you could probably afford to lose 2 and still secure the monitor. Alright, just to give an idea, this is what we're talking about, even compared to that one. And when we go to put these in, and this goes for all the screws, we're going to want to snug them up, but we definitely don't want to over torque them. You're going to end up with a stripped out screws. Okay. I've seen where some folks have tweezers to help get the screws out. If you have that and want to use them, that's certainly your choice. But you don't necessarily need them. You just need to hang on to the This is the LCD. There's going to be a single cable connector. We're going to have the wire for the webcam. Alright. And some of this is going to be taped to the back side of the monitor. So I'm going to lean this forward very gently and slowly. And I have taken this out before, so this cable was a little more sticky on here originally. There's a little tackiness right here. So when you're pulling it, that cable might seem to stick, so just be aware of that. Just hold it back and let it come off, all right? And then this cable is got a connector, but it's got this tape. Hopefully you guys can still see that. And all we have to do is lift this tape up. All right, it's very difficult for me to do this, but what we're doing is I'm trying to very gently pull this very sticky tape back. All right, now once I have this, I'm going to pull that straight down and it disconnects it, okay? So we'll be using that, reusing this part of the tape, but at this point, the monitor is off. The LED panel, the old one. Okay? And we ordered our replacement from laptopscreen.com, and here's how it came. I've already cut the tape. This is our unboxing of our LED monitor. It was very prompt service, so and their website was very helpful in finding the replacement, or at least we'll find out in a moment. And here we go. You want to be very careful, obviously, with the new one. And as you can see, it's got a protective film on here. And my advice is we're going to leave this on as long as possible, all right? And here's the back side. And it says do not touch, do not touch, do not touch, but here is that connector. And so we've got these little tabs are for this protective coating that will have to come off obviously when we're all done. This you just slide right on into there. Yep. And then I'm gonna lay this with a little bit of that tape stayed. I'll go ahead and lay it down now. That looks like a pretty good match. It's up in there. All right. So now I'm gonna have to pull this tab off. I think at this point that it's just gonna have to come off. And we're going to set this up. I don't know if you can see this, but because there's this metal frame, we'll be able to set it right into there, and that's where the screws will go in. And just like before, you'll see that there are 4 spots for screws. Lean this back a little bit and make sure it doesn't pop out on us while we're doing the work like that. And we'll go ahead and start reverse order. That a little snug. Remember, we don't want to over torque it. And again, while we have a choice of 2, it was in the lower one before. I'm just going to stay with that. Okay. And now for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and reattach the bezel. And as you can see, when you see the cables and things like that, this nice bezel will help hide that. So go ahead and drop the hinge parts in. It's going to lay back. And now we're just going to gently but firmly apply a little pressure all the way around. And we're going to put our screws in and cover it back up with the adhesive. Once again, a nice snug fit. Now, I still have my little adhesives to put on, but I'm going, now that the rest of the main stuff is back together again, I'm going to put in the battery and turn it on, because on the off chance I didn't seat the cable correctly or something like that, I don't need to go through taking those back. So while that boots up, I will put the little adhesives back on. These are certainly optional, but it is nice to have them. It sure beats a new laptop. All right, thank you guys, and thank laptopscreen.com.